Well everybody, welcome to the new 2020 version of To The Garage. I hope you're going to enjoy it. We're going to change the style a little bit. The main difference is I'm going to split the program, if you like, the show up into different sections. And that way it's the same thing coming to you each time. It's To The Garage, that's what you're watching. But I'll put little chapters within it. Might mean we get a few less episodes, but towards the end of last year I was putting out 2 or 3 a week, and that was all right while I got the time, but it's not going to happen going forward anyway. So we'll be down to about once a week, possibly twice where I'm able. So we're generally going to have something that is the XK8 show, if you like. All things XK8, X100, XK, and of course, if you're looking at these things, you're also looking at X308s, S-types. They're the same family. If you can do them to one thing, you can do them to them all. We're also going to have subscribers cars as a regular event, and that will be part of the show each time. And we're going to throw in bits and pieces of news, bits of vlogs, and work that's going on the other vehicles and the workshop as and when it comes. So hopefully you're going to find this an interesting sort of magazine style show going forward, and we'll see how that runs, and if it works out for me, when it works out for you, then that's the way we'll continue, and if it doesn't, change is good. So onward and upwards. 2020 is going to be a great year at To The Garage. In this series, there's going to be episodes on your brake fluid, how to check it, why it's important, how it works, dangers associated with it, how to strip down your front and your rear brakes, including the parking brakes, how to refurbish, replace parts, check the condition of your brakes, front and rear, including the parking brakes, and how to rebuild those parts front and rear as well. We're also going to do some comparisons how the upgraded brake parts are affecting brake performance and brake feel. Our baseline is 21 meters braking from 50 miles an hour on a dry road. We'll be using exactly the same road conditions and road before and after. And normally the issue with those sorts of comparisons on a video like this would be, yeah, but John, you're changing old standard to new upgraded, and maybe just new standard would have been good. I've taken a bizarre move. Everything on my car, the pads were new. The car's only done about maybe 1,000 miles since they were replaced. So I'm doing the upgrade, old style, but excellent condition, to new or upgraded, and obviously in excellent condition. So hopefully you're going to come along on a journey with us throughout the entire brake saga. Everything we're doing obviously is on the XK8 behind me, Purdy, but will equally apply almost identically to any of the Jaguars of the same era, so the S-Type and the 308, but in principle, most cars. But if you're dealing with your brakes and you're uncertain what you're doing, please, please, please get somebody who knows what they're doing to help you out, because it isn't something to mess around with. Fundamentally, it's simple, but you're all proceeding at your own risk. See you later. We're looking at brake fluid and how to test it and why it's important to test it. So the example car we got here is my 96 XK8, and the location of the brake fluid, which we couldn't get into, is under a little panel on the right hand side of my British car. So here's the reservoir, pretty typical of what it'll be like on most cars. Older cars tend to have a black cap. As they get newer, there'll be a yellow sticker or yellow writing on it because it's a check me item. I'd just like, before we go any further, to draw your attention to the fact that there is some fluid on top of my reservoir, and that's quite telling. I've just taken this car out to do some brake testing and really been hammering the brakes, and in doing so have probably started to boil the brake fluid, which is why it's suddenly become overfull and has caused some to escape. This is not loose. It's not normally looking like that. That is because brake fluid forced itself out as it's expanded and boiling. So back to the original point, why is it important to check your brake fluid? And I don't just mean the level. Brake fluid is an odd substance. Its design is to provide a completely uncompressible substance. Basically, liquids, give or take, cannot be compressed, and that's why they're used in things like brake systems. You push something down a pipe, it moves something at the other end. There is no springiness in that whatsoever, or shouldn't be. So effectively it's like having a cable or a rod, but it's in liquid form, operating your brakes a long way away. If we were to use air would be very springy, and the feel in your pedal would be very bouncy, it'd be very elastic. It wouldn't be good at transferring the energy from your foot to the pedal, to the brake even. The liquids that they use for brake fluid are not just water. Water would be a very bad idea. Water boils at 100 degrees C. It's more than capable as a braking system for your car to generate 100 degrees C and transfer that into liquid. So very quickly your brake fluid will start to boil, if it was water, under continued braking. As the calipers get warm, they transfer the heat into the fluid and the whole thing boils up. So we don't use water for that reason. We don't use water because it would corrode the brake pistons inside the calipers, ruin the seals, all the joints would start to corrode, all that sort of nastiness. Also, water tends over time to build up algae and all sorts of things in it, and it gets contaminated. So we don't use water. That would be a very silly idea. We use a specialist hydraulic fluid made for the job. And for most of us, that's going to be some of this stuff. I mean, mine's got a British car part, British parts label on it, but you can plainly see it's Mintex DOT4 fluid. This stuff is designed for the purpose. And what's clever about it is it boils at a much higher temperature. It's basically free of contaminants, and therefore is not going to grow any algae or anything nasty like that inside it. It's a reasonable lubricant, so it's going to keep the seals and the pistons working effectively. All that good stuff, plus completely uncompressible, at least to the level that any of us would be able to notice. It has a negative, and the negative is this is hygroscopic. A hygroscopic liquid is one that tries to absorb water. It will suck water from the atmosphere, contaminating itself. It's constantly trying to do that. That's why this stuff should be sold in sealed containers with a foil cap underneath the plastic cap. And basically you should buy it in the sort of size you need. There's no point buying a huge great container of this and then using a little bit and then putting the unsealed container away, because it will try to draw moisture from the atmosphere and contaminate itself. So interesting stuff, but it has that fatal flaw. And if water's getting into your brake fluid, which it is, because this system is occasionally exposed to the air, like when I take the cap off to check the fluid, then you're slowly absorbing more and more moisture, you're getting more compressibility in air, you're lowering the boiling point, and you're enabling it to corrode the internals of your brake system. Yeah, so that wasn't there previously, so that's obviously overflowed through boiling up. So let's just clean it up. Now, if we go inside here, although it's maybe higher than it should be, it's well below the neck, so again, you know it's been under a bit of pressure to escape. So, as I said, we want to test the brake fluid to see how much it's degraded. There's two things. A, it should be relatively clear, and this is dark, so that's the first sign. And the next thing we can do is actually use a brake fluid tester. And this is basically able to check moisture content just through conductivity of the fluid. The more water that's in it, the more it conducts electricity and will move the LEDs. This is a little bowl of water, so just to show you no shenanigans, yeah, showing the batteries on and no water. Then we try brake fluid. This is brake fluid from an old unsealed bottle, and it's going mental. Really, we should be less than 1%, which is that second green light. So how you use one of these, just pull the cap off. We've got a couple of electrodes. Put the electrodes into the fluid like so, and then press the button. And you can see we've got two yellow lights have come on, and that means we're in the 2% moisture level. Let's move it around a bit. So it's not in the danger level, which is 3% and above, but certainly not in the best condition. And when you're filling these up, generally there'll be a mark on the container itself, and it's generally where there's a join, a flange, and that's how it is on mine. It says max just there. So this is a little overfilled, but not too bad, that level there. Yeah, so one of the mistakes you can make playing around with your brakes is, particularly when you're going to get your pads out, you end up pushing the pistons back, and if you've got a high level in your brake fluid reservoir, it can very often overflow. And another feature of brake fluid, it's a really good paint stripper, so you don't want that to happen. So a really good idea is to take some fluid out. I got this nice potch gadget I had for Christmas, but you can ladle it out, siphon it out, do what you need to do. This is a little vacuum pump, and basically I'm going to be changing the brake fluid anyway, so there's not like a minimum level I've got to take out of here at all. What we're going to do, pop that in the reservoir, and there you can see it coming straight up the pipe, and we can take a good deal of the brake fluid out, and as I'm going to be changing a whole lot, it's not a problem. Okay,
what's this black?
Let's see how much is there. If we go down the back of that vein, I think it's a deep bit, there you go. that's more or less empty. Just of the dribble back.
Now it's time for subscribers' cars.
I thought it only right and fair that we start off the subscribers car section with Asif Hasnain's beautiful 99 XKR. One of the reasons is that Asif was one of the first people to suggest the subscribers cars element to the program. Another is his car is Arden tweaked, and I love the Arden wheels. These are Arden tuning wheels, and I really think they suit the car well. Arden, for those of you who don't know, is a tuning house based in Germany which has long been associated with Jaguar and basically specialises in cosmetic and mechanical tweaks to English cars. The car that Asif has is in Carnival Red, as the air dam, splitter, side skirts. The side skirts actually are very reminiscent of the later Model 2 XK8s and XKRs, which tells you that Jaguar actually like what Arden did. I believe the wheels to be an O.Z. wheel, O.Z. wheel, that has Arden adopted badges on it. And for me, as always, it's that purer Mark 1 front combined with these aggressive extra touches that makes for the really mean look. I'm a sucker for a Mark 1. So thank you very much, Asif, and if you'd like to send in your pictures or even a short video clip, less than a minute, done landscape, no sound effects, if you want to put a voiceover on it, that's fine, then please send it to the address that follows this. Thank you very much, Asif.